All right, we made it. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Peter here. You may know me from this channel or our Facebook group and dealings with QuickBooks Point of Sale. And I also have on board today Brian Edwards, who is a retail product partnerships manager with Shopify POS. Very excited to have him here today to talk about Shopify POS. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Peter. Thanks for having me. Great intro. What a countdown. That was very exciting.
Yes. Ooh, the suspense. So I'm glad to welcome a lot of the people that I've dealt with over the years with QuickBooks POS and helping them out and doing all that I can to help their retail stores run efficiently. And that is what I intend on continuing to do in the current climate that we're in and moving towards the best possible facilitation to help out their stores and sell their products, because I know if I know anything about my clients, it is that they're focused on their customers. I'm focused on them as my customers. And, the point of sale, really the engine of a store. And if you have a great point of sale that's working out for you, then you don't really have to think a whole lot about it. And you can focus on what your passion is, which is your products or your niche or your customers and serving their needs, which is what we want to do. So we have a few things to go through here. You will have to bear with me and keep in mind that this is my first day at the control panel of a live webinar, which means that I'm going to do the best to make this go off without a hitch, and I think it'll be great. But if we have any technical difficulties, bear with me. I'm sure we'll laugh about it later. So I'm going to jump right in and just talk about some of the things that you can look at when you're looking at Shopify Point of Sale. I'm going to get my screen up here. We got Shopify POS, and I'm just going to go through some of the bullet point kind of features that some people may or may not know about when it comes to Shopify POS. So here we go. I'm just going to jump through kind of different features. One thing I am super excited about with this point of sale is the ability to use it on any mobile device, and that could be a tablet that's in your store, or that could be your phone. It really gives you the ability to go anywhere with your point of sale. And you can see in this picture here, it's showing tiles that are kind of flying off the screen, but what it's trying to emphasize is that you can kind of customize what your point of sale looks like, and you can put in the features and buttons that you use the most when you're using the point of sale. And so really the functionality here is to tailor this to your store. It's a very powerful point of sale software. Like I said, you can turn any mobile device into your cash register. And I'm going to take a second to mention that what that also means. I want to say there's kind of two parts to this point of sale. One part is the front end, which is the cash register, which would be on either an iPad or, Android or your phone. And then there's the back end, which lives in a browser, and you have all the abilities to look at your reports and a lot of different things from that browser. I'm sorry, I'm just adjusting something over here. And so on the back end, you can look at your inventory, your reports, your customers, and you can do that from wherever you're at, with a laptop, with a computer, sitting in your bed at home and making things happen. And I'm hoping this is coming through clear on YouTube here. Just want to make sure that people can see things. So that's kind of what I'm adjusting over here to try and make sure that I know that people can see us right. and it might just because it's live and I'm streaming and I'm also watching it. So I think it's a little unclear on my phone here, but hopefully it's doing good. So I'm also going to we're going to look a little bit at the hardware in the future here. And the real meat of this webinar is going to be when Brian, oh good, somebody told me they can see me. So yeah. So Brian's going to take over after a few minutes here, and he's going to actually walk through like a full demonstration, and we'll be able to see a lot more of the inner workings of the point of sale and what you would be looking at each day. So next slide here, I wanted to accentuate some new abilities, and by new I mean these would be abilities that maybe you wouldn't be seeing at when you had QuickBooks point of sale. And so these would be like features that I think are big benefits. Number one, we got the ability to pick up your point of sale and kind of walk around your store. I love this picture right here. It's hard for me to explain this to people over the phone. I'm like, yeah, you grab your cash register screen and you can walk around and be a personal shopper with your customer. I actually, I'm going to back off this screen for 1 second because I do have
oh, look at that.
I do have the Shopify tablet here and stand. And one thing you can do with this is you can just grab it and you can go walk around with your point of sale screen, helping somebody with products, checking on things, checking out, and you come back and you place it back on the stand, and then you just continue ringing them up. And I think that concept is so cool. Instead of telling them, I'll be right back, I got to run back to the cash register and check that out. The other thing, since I have the stand up and in front of me, is some people are wondering about like poll display or the display so the customer can see something. This stand actually just flips right over, and then the point of sale screen would twirl around, and you can have the customer look at the final payment or anything you want them to see on the screen. It just flips over like that. So that's one thing. We'll get my screen back up here. Now, the next topic, I guess, on my list here is the ability, we call this omni-channel or multi-channel abilities, and that is you may have an online store and then you have your brick and mortar store. These are all the same engine with Shopify POS, but I am going to point out that somebody can order online and the ticket can move right over to your point of sale and they can pick up in store, or they can order something in store and it can kind of be pushed out the back to have it shipped to them. And it gives you this malleability to push orders back and forth between your online store and your point of sale brick and mortar store. One thing that people have done in QuickBooks point of sale over time has been that, if you want to email and receive payment from your customer through an email, we had to push that to QuickBooks accounting, and then we had to mail it out from there with a payment link. You can actually email receipts for payment straight from the point of sale in this case. Is that correct, Brian?
Yep, exactly.
And then, like I said, since you can put this on a mobile phone, you can take this point of sale wherever you go. And then definitely just a very easy interface on the point of sale that, it doesn't bog you down with sub menus and things you got to jump into in order to get your sales done. And we're going to move on. I'm going to start picking up the pace here because it looks like we've already been going 10 minutes and we got a lot to get through with Brian. So I'm just going to mention some of the bullet points here. Very advanced inventory management, custom staff permissions, unified reporting, and that reporting can be from your online store, from your brick and mortar store, or combined. The local pickups I already talked about, or buy in store and ship to customer. You can buy online. Customers can come in and exchange or return at the store after they purchase something in your online store, even though it was shipped to them. Product QR codes, sending cart to buy online. Brian can probably talk a little bit more about that. A lot of smart inventory actions here, stock adjustments, transferring if you have multiple locations, much like multi-store. Low stock reports, which would kind of be like your reorder points that we talked about in QuickBooks point of sale. You can definitely do inventory counts, stock adjustments, and receiving, and lots of detailed inventory reports. For your checkout process, of course, we've got, you can save your cart and retrieve. You can do exchanges and returns, checking out anywhere because you can bring the point of sale anywhere or through email, like I said. Automatically calculates your tax depending on your store's location. That's definitely fun instead of the nitty gritty tax stuff that we had to get into with QuickBooks point of sale. Custom discounts and custom sales, of course. And then also, of course, it can take cash. You can use the camera on here for barcode scanner, by the way, but I'd probably recommend the hand scanner. Now, a lot of people are like, hey, I have 120,000 items in my QuickBooks point of sale, which is a ton and makes QuickBooks point of sale run very slow. But since we're working with online, I would imagine SQL databases in the background here on Shopify POS, you have virtually unlimited amount of products availability there. It's not like the database gets filled up because they have some ridiculous server farms somewhere I'm sure replicated across the planet, and virtually have no limit to what you can put in the store. Product collections in there is going to be a lot like your departments, but there are certain ways that you can classify products in like multiple collections or departments. It's really pretty cool. Product variants, which is very much like our styles. We got size and color and material, etc. And then I did touch on the multi-location inventory. And of course, barcode scanning, because you got to check people out. For customers, of course, this is going to be a lot like QuickBooks point of sale, like you have your customer profile and their histories in there. So I don't need to get too in depth on that. It's very similar, and you can look up a lot of history on your customer, as well as the marketing vehicle that can become to help with email, phone number, texting, and getting people back in your store. I showed this a little bit, how you can flip over the screen and we're able to, allow your customer to help in the process of the checkout. And then lots of reporting, cash tracking, sales reports, daily sales report, a big dashboard overview on the reporting. And I'm also going to mention the ability to pretty much hook up any sort of app that's in the app marketplace, which makes kind of your abilities with your point of sale and online store unlimited, according to just custom tailoring it to your industry and the things that you're wanting or needing for your store. So these are some of the regular reports that are in point of sale, but there's also additional marketplace apps that help out with really intricate and customized reporting. And so that's pretty much it for my little demonstration of an overview and some of the product abilities. I'm probably going to turn it over to Brian here so we can get on with this, because I've talked too much.
Thanks, Peter. Can everyone see my screen okay? I hope so. I think it's coming through. So quick overview just on myself, in case you're wondering who I am, what I'm doing here, chatting with Peter. So I'm Brian. I've been at Shopify for about 7 years now, and I'm based in Toronto. I started on our support team here, taking calls from merchants every day, working with them directly. And then I moved to our retail and Shopify Plus sales teams. So I've been fortunate enough to work with some of our largest merchants on the platform who are using Shopify point of sale, like Alo Yoga and many others. And to start this year, I've joined our retail partnerships team. And so I've been fortunate enough to work with Peter and Intuit and QuickBooks for the past several months here, working with these merchants on the migration. Before Shopify, my background is entirely in retail. So I was a buyer and a merchandiser for a sporting goods store here in Toronto. We have a chain of locations across Canada. And before that, I was in sales and store management and even in accounting. So believe it or not, I have a little bit of an accounting background. So yeah, really happy to be with you here today and chatting through Shopify and Shopify point of sale. So the plan for the walkthrough today, I believe we have about 45-ish minutes left, is to start with some of the basics. So with the assumption that not many people,
Yeah, I'm
Peter's
sorry.
pausing me.
I thought I'd just jump in and let the people know that this is like the intro webinar, and we want to show the great abilities of the Shopify POS. But I did just want to throw a teaser in there and say we do plan on doing more future webinars where we kind of deep dive on specific parts of the point of sale, whether that's inventory or the connections and all the different things. So just to let you know, there will be more to come at some point in the future. Sorry to interrupt, Brian.
No problem, Peter. I was definitely going to add that as well. This will be our baseline knowledge of Shopify before we dig into more detailed information around inventory management and the connector app itself and the integration with QuickBooks Desktop. So the plan for today, we'll be going through some of the basic admin setup. So what does your Shopify account look like? How are we managing locations and sales channels? You may hear us talk about the point of sale app and online stores, and Shopify is really known for e-commerce, and that's how we got started. So we'll look at how do we set all that up. Then we'll look at product creation. How do we take those products and make them available in our retail stores and make them available online? How do we manage all the details associated with products? Then we'll switch to the Shopify point of sale app. As Peter mentioned, the app that's used in the store and the backend, what we refer to as a Shopify admin, are separate. So we'll look at how do we find those products in the point of sale that we've created behind the scenes in the backend? How do we add customers, and how do we do basic orders? Then we will get into some of the more complex orders, looking at creating orders that are unpaid, creating orders that are unfulfilled that will be made or sent to the customer later on. And then I'll touch on some of the features that Peter mentioned as well, such as local pickup, if we're shipping orders to customers, and a nice invoicing or send cart feature that we'll see as well. And then lastly, we'll tie it all back together with going back into the admin, look at how those orders come through, how customer information comes through, how you can segment customers, and then we'll quickly touch on Shopify's inventory management tool, which we call Stocky. But in all honesty, Stocky could use a whole separate video and an hour-long demo on managing inventory. Okay, so let's get started. First, let's take a look at the admin dashboard. And as Peter mentioned, this is a big change where we can see all of the activity and sales information for our store and our locations behind the scenes here. So if you wake up in the morning and you want to check on your computer, even check on your phone or iPad, you can quickly see how well the stores are doing, how well your business is doing. You can see total sales for each location, if you have multiple locations, by each channel, if you happen to be selling online or through point of sale, or if you plan on expanding to online in the future, you're able to get this overview of the business from one central place once you log in. On the left side, you'll see all of the sales channels that are added to your store. And this is really the bread and butter of Shopify. And this is really a key differentiator here, is that the admin acts as your central hub, but all of the places that you want to sell are added on as sales channels. So you can see in my store, I have an online store. I have a few stores through Shopify point of sale. And I also have the Facebook and Instagram channels installed, allowing you to sell through social channels, and as well as our shop channel, which allows you to sell through the shop mobile app, which if you haven't used that yet, I would definitely recommend checking it out, even as a customer. It's really cool. And so this is really the key. And even if you are new to Shopify, if you don't have an online store yet, that's okay. Point of sale can be your main or only sales channel within Shopify. That's totally fine. Now, next, let's go into the settings and look at some of the important stuff if you have a retail store or many retail stores, which are the locations that you have. Really important to set up. If you just have one store, one location, that's okay. The info that you enter when creating your store details and address will be used as the default address and location information. But if you have others, you can add them here. And we would define a location as anywhere that you're going to store or house inventory. So this can be multiple retail stores. I have 4 retail stores here. This could be a warehouse. I've also got a warehouse added here. This could be your apartment or an office or anywhere that you really want to store inventory and have that tracked within Shopify. And it's important to set these up first because, as you'll see in a second, the locations will determine the tax rates that are charged. It will determine product availability. It will determine shipping and a whole host of other things. So if you're just getting started, definitely start with the sales channel setup and then adding the locations. Okay, so now let's grab a product and look at the product setup. There's a lot to go through here, but I'm going to pick on one product in particular. I'm going to use this tote bag. So right off the bat, as you can see, title, description, basic product information. But what I want to call out are the sales channels here on the right that I mentioned at the start. So these will mimic or match the sales channels that we set up at the start. And here's where you will control where this product or what channels this product is available for sale. So you can see I've got this product available on the online store and through point of sale, but not available on Facebook and Instagram and Shop. And so as a new merchant, or if you're migrating from QuickBooks Point of Sale to Shopify, you may not be ready to start selling online, or you may be working on products that haven't arrived in the store yet, but here's how you're able to control where those are available for sale. And what I think is a really great opportunity here is that once you've gone through the migration, once you've got all of your products to start, set up to start selling in store, now, if you want, you can start with creating these products and getting these ready, available for online. And a lot of the hard work is already done. You've got title already done and description, pricing, other information like SKU and barcode. A lot of that's already there. And so when you're ready, you can just check the box or select multiple products and make those available online. Obviously, one of the big key factors when shopping online is product imagery, whether you can get imagery from your vendors or suppliers, whether you want to take those photos yourself. But it's a huge opportunity here to grow the business and open up a new sales channel. If you have no interest in selling online or you're not ready for that yet, that's totally okay. You can just have these products available online, or in store, I should say. Great. So I mentioned pricing as well. You'll notice 2 pricing fields here in Shopify. We have what we call price, and what we have compare ad price. And you'll notice that these 2 values are actually different in my account right now, meaning that the regular price of this item is $900 and the sale price, or the current price, is $825. If you don't have a compare ad price listed, or if the item is not on sale, if you just enter in the standard number here, that will be the price of the product. But if you want to show that this product has been marked down or is on sale or cheaper than the regular price, here's how you would do it. We have our tax setting here as well, that these items are going to be taxed. And then we have SKU and barcode information. One really important call out about barcode here that's slightly different from QuickBooks Point of Sale is that the number that's in this field is what will be scanned on point of sale. So whether it's a UPC, a GTIN, or if it's a book, or whatever it is, the number that's there is what's going to be scanned on point of sale if you're using a barcode scanner or camera scanner, and we'll see that in a second. And then last thing I wanted to call out here, second last thing I wanted to call out here was the locations that I mentioned. So here we see some of the locations that we set up at the start, and we see a few different inventory statuses. And this is really important to call out as well. The available quantity is what you have on hand to sell at your store, available for sale. But the on-hand quantity is actually how much you have in total in combination with the committed quantity. So you can actually see that I have 2 items here at Lawrence Park that are already committed to other things, those other things being orders. We'll see that in a second. So we have 7 in the store in total, but 2 are committed to other things, 2 orders, and we have 5 available for sale. And you can see, again, across all inventory locations here. And the key with Shopify Point of Sale is that all of these items and inventory quantities update in real time between point of sale and your e-commerce store and your admin. So as sales are rolling through, as inventory is created or adjusted, everything happens in real time. There's no manual adjustments or manual pushes or syncs that need to be made. Wow, big thunderstorm just opened up here. I don't know if you can see that lightning in the background, but that's pretty cool. Okay, and the last thing to touch on in products here, I'm skipping over a few things, but I think this is important as well, is what we would call product meta fields. And these would sort of be the equivalent to the custom fields, I believe they're called in QuickBooks Point of Sale, where you're able to create custom product fields or variant fields to add additional information that you may want to capture, that you may want to have on point of sale, or that you may want to have on your online store. So for example, I may want to display a season code if I'm selling fashion items that are coming from a particular season, or I may want to store a style number. The possibilities here are really endless. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. Color swatches are another one where if you sell a product in particular color style or fabric, you can have a color swatch and display that online. So a lot of custom options available here for you depending on the products that you are selling. Okay, great. Let's switch to the point of sale app. Should all be able to see my screen here. So now I've switched to Shopify Point of Sale app on my iPad. If you can still see me in the corner, I've just plugged my computer or my iPad into my computer here for the screen share. So the pin screen is the first thing that we'll see, assuming that we've already logged into the Shopify account, the same basically admin URL and password that you would use for the admin. You would log in and pick your location. So now each employee is going to have their own 4-digit PIN that they can use to log in, which is going to denote sales information. So you can see top left, Brian Edwards, that's who's logged in. It's also going to denote the staff permissions. And we didn't look into this yet, but just know that each staff member can have different permissions. So if you want certain staff to not be able to offer discounts or not be able to do returns and exchanges, those types of things, we can control that. And that's all done with the 4-digit PIN. So let's go through basic checkout. We'll do a basic checkout first, as I mentioned, and then we'll do some of the more complex things. So first, I'm going to add a customer. And now when I search for customers here, this is going to search my entire customer base from all of my locations and any customers who have shopped with me online. It's not finding any named Peter. So Peter, you're going to be a new customer in my store. And then when I add a customer, carries over that first name. And I'm going to, I have a thing, I got to have capital letters here. So let's have Peter in the store now. So when you're creating customers on a point of sale, first name is required, but it's a great way to capture email addresses, phone numbers, so that you can market to these customers or contact these customers later on. I don't remember Peter's email off the top of my head, so we're just going to leave it as is. So let's add a customer there. Now we can add some products. As Peter said, you can use the Bluetooth barcode scanner. I don't have one. So in a pinch, I can actually use the camera scanner and just scan this barcode, which should pick up. Add the luggage tag. Obviously that was a pack of pens, so a little demo magic there for you, and we can add to cart. Now, of course, you can search for products as well. And this search is going to be a global search when you use it. So it's going to search for products, orders containing those products, or customers if I had a customer named Tote. So let's go ahead and add that as well. And then we can also use this grid on the left that we call the smart grid to add customers. So if I have this tote bag, I can quickly tap on that and add it. Now, this tote bag is the same one that we just looked at in the admin. So if I pull it up again and look at the product details, we can see the same SKU and barcode information, but we can also see the inventory information. And so this is the same inventory information that we saw. And you can even see, for those who have multiple locations, if you wanted to go in, look at inventory at other locations, you can do that. And we even show a nice countdown timer to show you how accurate that inventory is. Really, really helpful when you're starting to expand the business and you may have multiple stores or you're starting to sell online. Okay. Because Peter's a new customer, I'm going to be really generous here as well and give him a new customer discount. So you can see that this tile that I have says new customer lights up once we've added some product and Peter to the cart. And so that's going to discount the products. You'll see that new customer discount. And that's a standard order. So we've got Peter, we've got our customer, and we'll go through the checkout. If you had the card terminal connected here that Peter showed in the original slides, you could use that here. Mine's not connected, but we'll go through and do a cash order. When I select cash, we're prompted with some default amounts, or you could enter in another amount. We'll select our total, change due, and we're good. So we have Peter here. If we wanted to, we could print the receipt. Of course, I don't have a receipt printer connected, but what's really handy is the email and text receipt. Even if you didn't create a customer off the bat, like I have with Peter here, capturing someone's email address and sending them an email receipt, and all those templates are set up in the back end and handled by Shopify. Capturing someone's email address is a great way to market to them later on. And if they come back to the online store and use that same email address, all those orders will then be tied together. Okay, so that's our basic checkout. I can see that there is a few questions flowing into the chat. We may have to try and answer those after the fact, if we can. I'm sure Peter and I will be able to figure it out, or we can maybe try and come back to them at the end.
Yeah, just real quick on that. We will try and pick through there and grab some of these questions. I'm glad you can see them, Brian. And then I'm gonna say that all of the questions, no matter what, I am going to gather them all up if any of your questions don't get answered during this time, because we're a little limited on all the things that we can show in our time constraint here. But I'm definitely going to gather them all up and possibly either publish a subsequent question answer video like you guys have probably seen in the past that I've done, or at the very end here, I will also let you know how to definitely get your specific questions for your specific store niche setting, your specific situation. I want you to have all the answers that you need for your definite situation. And so towards the end here, I'm going to let you know how you can go about doing that as well. All right.
Perfect. Let's keep it rolling. Thanks, Peter. Some of these questions as well will be covered in subsequent webinars or demos too that may require a little more explanation or a little bit more of a walkthrough. So let's now look at a little some of the more complex sales. So I'm going to add Peter again. Let's see if we can find Peter. There we go. So there's Peter. We just created him a minute ago. Now what's cool is we can see when we find a customer how long they've been a customer for. Only created Peter 5 minutes ago. How many orders they have, total spend, and their entire order history, which is really cool. Any other additional notes, tax status, or any of those things are available here for Peter. So let's add him to the cart actually again for this one. So now someone mentioned, actually, let's not use Peter because I don't know his email. Let's find me. No offense, Peter, but I have my email written down here. Perfect. Lots of orders on this account. This customer is a loyal customer, so let's add them to the cart. I had heard someone mention, it just caught my eye in the chat around customer meta fields on a product. So if you do view that product information, all of the imagery is there as well, which is really helpful. And all of those meta fields are captured here too, if they were filled out. These ones aren't filled out. But if you need to reference any style numbers or any extra information that's captured as a meta field, that's how you would do it. Okay, so you'll notice this messenger bag is sold out. If, in some scenarios, inventory may not always be perfect. Something may say that it's sold out, but you may have it in your hands physically. You can actually go through and sell that item anyways and override that sold out message. That's okay. But if you want to double check and verify, hey, maybe someone just ordered this product for pickup, or maybe something's going on here and I maybe shouldn't sell this one. I don't know. But if you want to check, you can go into those product details and you can see I'm actually way oversold here. I'm at -7 and I have one committed. But I do actually have some at other locations. So you can go in and see exactly how much inventory each of your other stores has. Montreal has quite a bit, and the warehouse has a few as well, and the warehouse is set up to ship. So instead, what I can do is I can tell Brian, hey, look, I don't have this at the moment, but we have a bunch in the warehouse. I can actually just ship it right to you instead. So we can go through, use the blue ship to customer tile on the left, and we can just create this order that's shipped to the customer. My pre-saved shipping addresses are all here. If you don't have a shipping address on a customer, you can add one, but let's use the pre-saved one just for the sake of time. Now, we will also pull in the same shipping rates that you have set up behind the scenes for online orders, or if you just want to set them up for a retail store, those would be set up in the admin. We would pull those in. And these are pulling in dynamically from Canada Post based on the weight of this item. So these are really accurate shipping rates that are pulled in real time. But if you don't have them set up, or you want to do a custom shipping rate, you can do that too. I'll do priority. And now what's also nice, this is hard to see, but you'll notice the HST tax rate there. If your customer's address is in a different tax jurisdiction than the retail store, that will update to the customer's address to collect the appropriate amount of tax. Then we can go through the checkout. We'll see the same options or similar options as before. You'll see gift card there, and we can touch on gift cards on a later call. But I'll do cash again, create that order, and then let's just do an email receipt just so you can get an idea. And let's sign this person up for the newsletter as well. Perfect. And then we'll flood my inbox with email receipts. Perfect, and we're done. And now if we were to go back to the admin, we can see this order come through in real time. We'll see the shipping rates that were selected, and we can see where this order was created from Lawrence Park, and we'll see where it's actually being fulfilled from. So even though we're shipping this order from the warehouse, the store location and the store associate is still getting credit for that sale. If that's something that you're into, if you are tracking store performance, if you are tracking employee performance, they're still going to get credit. So they're able to sell that item even when it's not in stock, when it's not in inventory. Okay, let's look at a couple other scenarios here as well. Similarly, you may have customers who are browsing products who may be a little hesitant, or maybe just want to think about it. What you can do is send them this cart to their email address. So again, whether you're creating a new customer, just capturing a new email address, or whether you're pulling in from an existing customer and their saved email address, this email that they will get almost essentially acts as an invoice, where they can pay for the item later on, and they would pay for that through the checkout that is hosted online. Even if you don't have an online store, you don't have a website set up, this online checkout will still work. So they will get these same products and they can pay for that, and they'd be created as a new order. This is also one way for customers or staff to create orders over the phone for customers. If someone calls in, you can send that to them. It's slightly more secure than going through the checkout and manually entering a credit card, which you can still do. There are still some scenarios where that happens, but a lot of customers these days are concerned about privacy, and they may prefer paying through the website or paying through online. So really helpful feature here as well. And when those are sent, I'm going to hop back to the admin here. Once those are sent, those are actually saved as draft orders here as well. So if you need to come back and reference that order, or once that order is paid for, then it gets created as a regular order. Okay. One more thing to touch on here. We've talked about what happens if customers don't want to pay for something up front, or you want to send them an invoice, or you're going to ship to them. We also have local pickup. And I think Peter mentioned this as well. This is a great feature for those who may be new to setting up an online store, who are historically focused on in-person retail and physical retail. They don't want to bother with shipping across the country or printing labels or shipping rates and all of those things. What you can do is you can just set up pickup only. We're going to sell online. You have to come to the store to get it, which keeps things really, really simple. And when that happens, again, because all that inventory is in real time, the point of sale will get a notification as soon as there's a pickup order. And you'll see this tile that's yellow. I've got 3 to fulfill. So I can see those items, go in and pick my order. I can see what needs to be gathered or collected. I can prepare this item for pickup. And so now this sends a notification to the customer that, hey, it's time to come get your items. They're ready to go. You can see that the status of this order changes now to ready for pickup. And then once the customer comes into the store, gets their stuff, we can mark as picked up. And there we go. We can send the email confirmations if we want, and we're done. So having that native local pickup, having that inventory sync in real time, is a great way to start expanding and selling online. Last thing I wanted to show or go through, let's go back to Peter. Let's add Peter again. Last thing I wanted to show is what happens if we're going to create a layaway or just create an unpaid order for a customer. And I have to give a shout out to Peter because I've referenced his YouTube channel quite a bit to learn more about QuickBooks Point of Sale, and he made a couple jokes about layaways as well. So I figured I'd throw this in here for him too. So let's add Peter. Let's add some products here. I'll go back to the perfume, and I'll go back to the bag, and let's go through the checkout. Let's sell this item anyways. We looked at the scenario where we did this as a ship to customer order, but we can sell it anyways. Now, we'll have 2 options here. The bottom of this list, we'll see a split payment option. If you wanted to do a split payment, half cash and half credit, you would go through this flow. If you wanted to do a deposit or a layaway, you would go through this flow as well. One thing I'll mention before we go through the checkout is that by default, these orders are fulfilled. And you'll notice this toggle down here in the bottom, mark as fulfilled, and that's toggled on. Most orders that we create on Point of Sale are what Shopify would call fulfilled, meaning the customer has purchased something and they've taken those items with them. When we created that ship to customer order earlier, that is automatically marked as unfulfilled. And we saw this in the admin where we need to package that up. The warehouse needs to package it and ship it out, and that's when it gets fulfilled. So by default, these orders are all fulfilled. Now you could turn that off, but I'm going to leave it on in this case. So just keep that in mind. We're going to leave it on. Now, when I go through the checkout, yes, we know this item is sold out. When I mark this item as unpaid, that means $0 has been taken towards this order. Peter owes me some money, and I can email or text that receipt. Now, if I go back to this order that we've just created, Peter comes back in to pay the outstanding amount. We can go through, again, the same flow and capture that payment. But as Peter mentioned during his intro too, just going to reload this. We can pull up that order in the admin. We'll see it come through. And now we can actually send an invoice to Peter to pay for this online. So if he doesn't have to come back in, he can pay for it through the online checkout, pay for a credit card, which is really secure. Of course, we can do it over the phone, but a nice way to capture that payment and send those invoices directly from within Shopify. If we wanted to manually add a due date for this payment, we could do that here as well. So let's say we want to remember that Peter needs to pay this within the 60 days. Peter's a nice guy, so I'm going to give him a nice long window here on the terms. We can manually add that in as well. The other thing to note, this has come up a couple times too. If Peter maybe had multiple orders that he wanted to pay and he was paying by a check or e-transfer or other method that isn't a credit card, you can actually do this both just on this individual order, or if you were to select multiple orders, you can go in and capture those payments so that it no longer shows as an outstanding balance. So Peter's paid off those orders. Okay, so we still have a few minutes left here. One thing I wanted to go through, actually two more things I wanted to go through. I mentioned capturing customer information, email addresses, and those types of things. So we can see right away that Peter is now a customer in our company, in our account here. But what Shopify does is allows you to segment these customers in really great ways. So if you wanted to see customers who have purchased with you multiple times, if you wanted to see customers from a specific country, or if you wanted to search for or create a specific segment for those in a specific province or city. Again, I'm in Canada, so we use provinces. Or if they have purchased a particular product, or even tying this back to some of the meta fields that I mentioned earlier, custom fields. If you wanted to search for or segment customers based on maybe their age, if you're capturing birth date or all of those kinds of things, having all of your customers in here in Shopify gives you a really great way to segment and retarget these customers, whether you're using Shopify email or whether you're using other email tools. It's a really good way to, again, to capture those customers. One other thing you could do is filter by customers who have shopped at a particular store location, or those who have shopped in store with you at maybe a few stores, but not online, or vice versa. So really allowing you to kind of slice and dice that customer segmentation and seeing everything you need to see about that customer. So here's my customer info, and you can see a lot of different information on this account. We can go in and view all the entire order history and all of those things. Okay. The last thing I wanted to cover was Stocky. I also just wanted to show you what the online side of things would look like for this account. So this is the store, the demo store that I have made that's pulling all of the same product information. This is just using a free template from Shopify. So again, really great way to expand the business. You don't have to do too much to get that online store up and running. The meta fields and other fields that I mentioned will be available as filters on your products. So really easy to get up and running. Again, product images is one thing, but this is all just using free built-in tools from Shopify to get this site going. So just to give you an idea of what the customer would see if they're shopping with you online. Okay, let's touch on Stocky lastly. Stocky looks a little different from Shopify in that it opens up in a new tab. So we would call this, an external app. But it is an app that is owned by Shopify, and it is our default inventory management tool. The thing that you'll need to know that's really important, that's most important, is that Stocky still updates with Shopify in real time. So as orders come through, we could actually go into the sales information here, and we could see that order history and all the orders that we've just created. But as orders come through, inventory updates in Stocky. As you are creating purchase orders, transfers, adjustments, all of those things, Stocky and the admin, Shopify admin, and the point of sale all work in sync, in harmony, and all update in real time. And so this is where you would do most of your inventory management, writing purchase orders, as I mentioned, vendor management, and there is some inventory reporting and things built into here. We're not going to go into great detail here on Stocky just because of the timing, and there's a lot, as you can see, there's a lot of things to dive into here with Stocky. This would take a whole other hour demo, but I did just want to mention it because if you've been doing some initial research on Shopify or been looking into the connector app, you may have seen this term Stocky floating around or may have come up once or twice in your research. So Stocky is the tool that you would use for inventory management. The point of sale app is what you would use for the selling and the sales in the store. And I forgot that I brought this up, but another thing I wanted to mention to tie it back to what Peter had mentioned around mobile selling throughout the store. This is our newest point of sale device, which we call POS Go. It's an Android device, but it has a scanner, barcode scanner, and the card reader all built into one. So if this is an avenue that your store wants to explore or go down, having mobile selling, this is a great device or a great tool for you to use in store. Peter, I don't know if you got one of these. I haven't even got one yet. I have to be honest.
Nope,
I'm hoping to get one soon.
I got the regular retail kit, and of course, I also have the point of sale just loaded on my regular phone, but it doesn't have, my phone doesn't have built-in credit card processing capability and barcode scanner, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like a point of sale in the palm of your hand.
Yes, exactly. I can't wait to get one of these. This also reminded me of a question I saw really early on in the chat, which was how many devices can you have in the store? On a Shopify account, you can have up to 1,000 separate locations. So if you have different retail stores or warehouses, and then within each location or in each retail store, you can have as many devices as you want.
Yeah,
so you can have a
just to reiterate that from the angle of QuickBooks point of sale and what people might be used to in the past, on versions of QuickBooks point of sale, you were paying $1,500 to $1,700 per user. That was regular price. Of course, there was, sales and discounts here and there, but $1,500 to $1,700 per user on QuickBooks point of sale. In Shopify point of sale, you pay a single subscription, monthly subscription price for each location. And in that location, you can have as many registers as you want. So you're not going to pay per register like you used to, you're probably used to that. You can have one register, you can have 5 registers, you can have 10 registers and 2 phones and who knows what you got going on, but it's all just the same price.
Perfect. Okay. Just to recap, we saw a basic store setup. And again, to reiterate what Peter had mentioned, there will be more webinars to go into more detail and in more depth with some of the features that we talked about, some of the things. Can see a lot of questions about Stocky in particular. But what we saw today was the basic store setup, creating your locations, creating the sales channels that you need, creating products and assigning them to those particular sales channels and those particular locations. And then we looked at creating basic sales through Shopify point of sale, creating customers. We looked at doing creating unpaid orders and how we can capture payment for those later on, as well as some of the more interesting sales tactics or order creation tactics, like creating the draft order invoice through Send Cart, or shipping and selling products that you don't even have in the store. So, never losing a sale essentially in those scenarios. And then lastly, we tied it all together, looking at how quickly orders and inventory and products and customers all sync and all work in real time between the point of sale, between the admin. And then we touched on Stocky briefly, but Stocky, rightfully so, deserves its own deep dive.
Real quick, Brian, I'm going to put this up now so that we have it up for a couple minutes here. But on your screen there, you're going to see a QR code. And if you're watching this on a computer, you can take your phone out and focus on this QR code that's on your screen. And what we have here is, I know there's a ton of questions in the chat. I told you I am definitely going to gather those up and address those, each and every one of them. If not now, then subsequently here. And what we have with the QR code here is you can get your very own free one-on-one demonstration with the Shopify point of sale and have someone such as Brian to personally address your situation, because every situation is different. I've worked with thousands of different customers, and when I started this job, I did not know how diverse retail settings can be and how different everybody's workflow can be. So go ahead and you can either scan the QR code, or if you're watching on your phone and the QR code is not something you can really reach at the moment, in the description of this YouTube platform is the same link as the QR code. So you can click on that and get to the same spot. And we would love to invite you for a free session one-on-one with you and a Shopify point of sale expert who can address your specifically tailored questions and specific situation in your particular store. I'm really excited that we can offer that. So I'm sorry, I kind of interjected and took over there, Brian.
No, that's it. And that's it. I wanted to recap and thank everyone for joining. And then, I'll kick it back over to you, Peter, if there's anything you want to round off with.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have the customers that I do. I will mention that myself and BlackRock Business, we are a Shopify point of sale partner. And so we will be here continuing to serve your needs, or myself, I will be, of course. I've grown so many wonderful relationships over the years with people who have their retail stores, and I just know how much this means for everybody. And I guess, I can't say anything bad about any one of my customers. I just love them to death. And I like to provide value, and I look forward to jumping back together with Brian here in the future to definitely provide more value for you and answer any questions that we can. I'm sorry, we totally took up the hour here. And I will be, if you want to, I guess I could say that if you want, and this is a shameless plug, if you want to subscribe to the channel, then you will receive further updates about the questions that you dropped in there, because I'll probably, like I said, I'll gather the questions, research my answers, and put together a follow-up video that will address your questions. So shameless plug, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, which will allow you to get a notification that the follow-up question answer video is being published. But I super duper encourage you to jump on the QR code or the link that's in the description to get your own personal one-on-one question answer session, because the way I look at it, I say, yeah, we can tell you about all the wonderful things about Shopify point of sale, but you're really going to need to evaluate and see if there's some reason that Shopify point of sale isn't going to work, or if an expert and specialist can tell you in what manner we can get around whatever the hang-up is there. Because over the years, you've probably realized that's what I've done for a ton of people, a ton of you, is we find workarounds, we find ways for things to work, because I would say there's no single point of sale system out there that's going to fit 1,000 different business types. And so we will do all that we can to make it malleable, customizable, and have the ability to meet your needs, and we'll figure it out. So Brian, I just thank you very much for taking time out of your day. Actually, I'll say time out of your week, because we prepared for this for a while. And we just really appreciate your time here, and hope you have a great day up there in Canada.
No problem. Happy to join. Thanks for having me as a guest, Peter. And I'm sure we'll do more of these, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. You guys have a great day. Reach out to me on the Facebook group or whatnot, and we'll continue to evaluate and get those questions answered. All right. Bye-bye now.